Welcome back to the SportsBeat KC podcast. This is Jesse Newell, KU beat reporter for the Kansas City Star. I'm joined once again this week by Bleacher Report's CJ Moore. CJ, how you doing?
Jesse, I'm doing well. How are you, man?
I know I'm kind of pumped. This is the second part of the draft that we started earlier, the Roy Williams era draft coming this week. But before we get to that, anything new in your life? Have you found all the Pokemon Go's in your neighborhood?
What a waste of time. I have not, and I will never have that app. I can guarantee you
Well,
that.
I can't knock it. I'm not a Pokemon Go person, but someone did alert me yesterday that there was a bird in my living room. So they shot it,
Oh,
and it was taken care of. So
I don't quite understand how it works, so I guess I can't hate too much, but please tell me you haven't downloaded it.
I have not downloaded it. I don't know
All right,
much about it. All I know is that that bird is out of my living room. So I'm a little
that's
bit
good.
happier about that. You don't want any virtual birds flying around, scaring people away or making the baby stay up at night or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right to it. Not much KU news for the week. It looks like the Lake Newman thing happened last week, and now just kind of a waiting pattern. So, perfect week to do the Roy Williams era draft. I want to remind folks of the rules that we did a couple weeks ago. We did with the Bill Self draft. We let the people decide who had the best team. They were all smart. They decided that I had the best team by a landslide margin of 51% to 49% on the online poll. Obviously, I did way better in that draft, CJ. But this is
Obviously.
yeah, obviously. This is a normal draft. We're going to have 10-man rosters. Two walk-ons at the end are required, so that's just for fun. We're talking about any time in the Roy Williams era at Kansas. He had 15 seasons with KU from 1988-89 to 2002-2003. And then also, it's the best version of this player, but a little bit of a twist. It's while they were with Roy Williams. So, for example, as we might use an example, Wayne Simeon played much better as an All-American during his time with Bill Self. We're talking about the best version of Wayne Simeon while with Roy Williams in his first couple of seasons. All that all sound good for you, CJ?
All sounds good. Ready to go.
Okay, I was going to flip a coin, but no need to flip a coin because I got first pick in the last draft, so it is only fair now to give you the first pick in this draft. So I eagerly await your pick at number one in the Roy Williams era draft.
Jesse, you're a gentleman for offering that up.
A gentleman and a scholar, as they
A
would say.
gentleman and a scholar. I am, this is not an easy choice, but I don't believe the man I'm about to take was the best player of the Roy Williams era, but there is not a lot of good wings. The wings are not quite like they were in the Self era when I stacked up on those. So I'm going to go with Mr. Paul Pierce as my first pick, the only player under Roy to average better than 20 points per game. His junior year he was pretty unreal. So I'm going to go with Paul Pierce right off the bat.
That's good. And have we heard from him since college? Has he done anything? I
He,
haven't gotten any update.
I think he was a D leaguer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he just kind of fizzled out
Okay.
pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, again, this is just a Roy Williams era draft, so it's okay. It doesn't matter what he did after college, so that's fine that he didn't really go on to have a Hall of Fame type NBA career or anything like that. So that pick is fine, and I'm actually glad I gave you the first pick because my first pick is still on the board. Because you're talking about how great Paul Pierce's junior year was, but can you name who the Big 12 Player of the Year was that year?
It
CJ?
was it was Mr. Rafe LaFrenz.
Right?
That
It,
was my other guy. That was my top two on the board,
it
and
was
that's a smart pick.
It was Rafe LaFrenz. So Rafe LaFrenz is my number one overall pick. Not only the 1998 Big 12 Player of the Year, also the 1997 Big 12 Player of the Year. And again, because we're not penalizing for what happened afterwards, because Rafe LaFrenz was a high NBA draft pick, had a long career, not necessarily a successful one, but he was amazing in college. And the one thing I remember, he would get the ball on the baseline about 12 feet away, and he had the turnaround jumper with the high release. He'd get the guy on his back, do a little shimmy, go baseline, shoot that 12-foot jumper, nothing but net every single time. I mean, every kid at the playground was practicing the Rafe LaFrenz 12-foot turnaround jumper over the left shoulder, or over his right shoulder, I guess. I mean, that was an unstoppable shot, and that dude was a college force.
I wonder if there's any Rafes around that are like, oh, let's see, they'd probably be like 19, 18, 19, 17 now.
That's
I
a
wonder if
great
there's any
question.
Rafes around Kansas.
That's a great question. It was one of those crazy names, and everybody had figured out that it was fear backwards. You know what I mean? It was one of those deals. But I bet if we did enough research, There might be some Rafes out there,
There
but
might be it could be a story for you there, Jesse.
yeah, I'm already
Now,
writing it down.
he obviously he kind of had the Danny Manning curse in the NBA. His knees, probably he would. I think he would have had an even better career. I believe he was like maybe leading the league in blocks one season when he got hurt, which really wasn't something he did great at KU. But if I remember right, I think he was leading the NBA at blocks at one point, or maybe had the highest block percent or something.
Yeah.
And he turned into a decent pro player, but I think he'd have even more of a legacy if it wasn't for Miles Simon, Mike Bibby, Katino Mobley, and Tyson Wheeler. Let's just go ahead since those two, Paul and Rafe, are off the board.
I just say while you're
let's
twisting
go
the
ahead.
knife, you would go ahead. And
Screw those guys. Like they ruined part of my childhood. Thanks a lot, Bibby, Simon, Mobley, and Wheeler. I'm pretty sure they took 13-year-old CJ. I think it was 11, 12-year-old CJ to tears, but both those years.
Yeah, I just remember the desperation three that Rafe shot from the corner.
It's Arizona.
Yep. Well, and then also again, the Rhode Island game where you thought, okay, this sort of thing probably is not going to happen 2 years in a row, and sure enough, lightning struck for KU in the round of 32 against a very guard-talented team in Rhode Island. Jim Herrick, forever remembered for that. Going back down to the 1998 NBA draft, Rafe LaFrentz taken with the third pick. Can you name the first pick that year, CJ? I'm putting you on the spot.
I believe it was Olowokandi.
Olowokandi, Michael Olowokandi. So Olowokandi, Bibby, LaFrentz, and then Antoine Jameson. Vince Carter with the fifth pick. Some guy by the name of Dirk Nowitzki with the ninth pick. And then Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce with the 10th pick. So
can you? I mean, those poor Clippers. Look at all those just like Hall of Famers there, and they're taking. And he was the only guy for a long time to not make the tournament his last year in school and then be the number one pick. Although he did make the tournament, I believe, the year before he came out. So, Simmons obviously is relevant this year because he didn't make the tournament. So
he did not.
We kind of heard some Olowokandi talk this past year because of that.
It is a little bit tougher to take Pacific to the
it
tournament.
Is.
So I will give him a little bit of a leeway on that one. Okay, you have the third pick now. You have the second best player so far in this draft, and now you have the third pick. So go for it.
All right, my next pick is going to be the best player on the 2001-2002 Kansas Jayhawks, Mr. Drew Gooden. Probably the most entertaining team, the most fun I've ever had watching basketball was that year. That team was pretty incredible. Gooden put up nearly 20 points per game, 11.4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.7 steals, 1.4 blocks. I mean, the guy did it all. He was pretty unstoppable. I think my greatest memory might be him like missing I forget what game it was, but he almost like threw a shot off the backboard to himself. He was just a freak and fun guy to watch, fun team. So going with Mr. Drew Gooden.
I actually can't argue with that one. If you're talking about peak level of a player, freshman year he was obviously raw when he came in, but man, when he got to that junior year and that 01-02 team, I just remember the Elite Eight game where basically Ernie Kent and Oregon had said they're just going to run with Kansas. It wasn't going to be a big deal, it's just going to run with the Jayhawks. And KU ended up winning that game somewhere in the hundreds. It was like 104 to 78.
That game was so fun.
It was basically, and then afterwards you could kind of just tell. They didn't have to really say much. KU didn't, but it was kind of like, okay, you wanted to run, and KU ran, and that was it. But yeah, Drew Gooden was definitely a peak player of the Roy Williams era. Hey, if we're talking peak players, I guess I'll go ahead and I'll complete my front line here, and I'm going to take Nick Collison with the fourth pick. And again, just a player that unbelievable, the 2002-2003 season, along with a guy that I'm sure is going to get taken here very soon. But the Big 12 Player of the Year, that gives me two Big 12 Players of the Year compared to year one. Drew Gooden did take it in 2002, but an unbelievable end of his career and lifting KU to the national championship game where they eventually lost to Syracuse. Some of the most dominant stretch of play that I can remember from a KU player, and I just remembered, I guess, because kind of like the one shining moment highlight of him, I believe it was against It was either the Duke or the Arizona game. I believe it was the Duke game where he got the
Steps
ball.
over.
He got the
Yeah.
ball in transition, held the ball up kind of above everybody else, and put in the finger roll in transition. And it just seemed like almost one of those transcendental moments for a player where it was just he was so much above the level of anybody else playing on the court that day that it was something that you don't forget very easily. And Nick Collison had a stretch. Again, if we're taking peak performance of the peak player, it's hard to argue against what Nick Collison was doing at the end of his career.
I'm so I made my board. I put Gooden three. I was trying to think with my head, but with my heart, I wanted Nick Collison up there. He is my favorite Jayhawk of all time. True story. If my youngest son Henry would have been a female, decent chance his name would have or her name would have been Collison. That's how much I love Nick Collison.
Wow.
Like great best footwork of all time. Like I love that guy. So I took it to my buddies. I was like, all right, help me out here. Like who do I put three on my board? Do I put Gooden? Do I put Collison? Like my heart says Collison, my head says Gooden. My buddies cleared it up for me. I Gooden got more votes than Collison, so I gotta pick with my head here because that's what a smart general manager would do. But man, I love me some Nick Collison.
That might
Like
have led you astray right there, huh? I mean, if you would have named your daughter after him, he can't get the third pick in this draft.
he's oh man, it's I mean, did you go back and forth with those two, or where were they on your board? Let's be
My
honest.
my decision was kind of made for me, honestly, but
Yeah.
he was third on my board. So
Oh really? He
I'm
was
I'm
third on your board.
I'm not I'm not disappointed. But again, I this is we're picking nits here because
Yeah.
top
Those two are so close.
top level Drew Gooden. I mean, again, we're arguing 2002 Big 12 Player of the Year against 2003 Big 12 Player of the Year. But I will say that, like you were talking about with footwork and turnaround jumpers, I got some skill down there in the post right now.
You do. You have some definite skill down in there in the post. And man, I, I Nick Collison's footwork, thing of beauty, thing of beauty. So it kills me that he's on your team. And as much as I love TJ Ford, come on, man, you got to give Collison the player of the year that year. That was not right. But he did win an NABC player of the year, but I feel like he deserved the Naismith and Wooden as Gooden probably did the year before. And my argument for Gooden is they were on the same team and Gooden was the better player. So I lean Gooden a little bit, but not by much. All right, moving on. The next pick. You can tell how much I'm hurting right now, Jesse. Like I was just hoping, come on, throw like you got to go get a guard. Go ahead and go get a guard, Jesse. So I can just
No,
take my
no, no,
point
no. I'm
across.
just taking the best players, man. Just
All
taking the
right,
best players.
so I think the next pick's pretty clear. It's Mr. Kirk Heinrich. He can play the one or the two for me, depending on how my roster shapes up. Just did so many things. I don't think his stats, although they're great, his last season averaged better than 17 points a game, 3.5 assists, 1.9 steals, shot 40.6% from deep. Good numbers, but I don't think the numbers quite quantify how valuable he was. And I'll take you to a great Kirk Heinrich quote from one of my favorites of all time. Stats are like a bikini. They show some things, but they don't show it all. And with Kirk Heinrich, the stats don't show how valuable he was.
I don't think he was the originator of that quote.
Well,
I think he stole
in my
it.
head he was. He
Okay.
said it.
Okay, yeah, okay. And again, Kirk Heinrich I think is a really good pick. When again we're talking peak players, because peak Kirk Heinrich at the end of his career was much different than turnover prone, can't shoot that well freshman Kirk Heinrich. And again, toward the end of that 2013 or 2003 season. 2013, not quite. 2003 season with Nick Collison, they basically had that 1-2 punch where if you were had some deficiencies inside, then Nick Collison was going to expose you. If you had some deficiencies on the perimeter, then Kirk Heinrich was going to take over. So I definitely cannot fault that pick at all. I think that makes my next pick pretty obvious. Again, everyone can disagree, and I'm sure they will. But I'm going to go ahead and take Jacques Vaughn. I think that I'm going to take the true point guard in this draft, and obviously a guy that was well beloved during his time here for not only poetry and what he was known for off the court and academics, but a very good player on the court. Had the game winner against Indiana and all the famous highlight clips. Had the rubber band around his wrist to make sure he snapped himself after every turnover.
I forgot about that. That's a good call.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
A bunch of kids on the playground courts again would wear the rubber bands to snap
Uh-huh.
themselves if they'd screwed up. But obviously a fan favorite with all that, but a great production as well. A great distributor, had some of the amazing passes that really we hadn't seen the likes of before that. His key, he had that one spin move for a layup, but he also had the fake behind the back pass. Again, the same thing where you have all the kids at the playground trying to emulate this. I'm faking it behind the back on my
Yep.
first step, and then I'm going up with the layup on the second step. So, somewhat of a flashy player when he wanted to be, but also just a solid contributor all around. I'm going to take the true point guard and take Jacques Vaughn.
I believe that's the last jersey I purchased in my life was Jacques Vaughn when I was a kid. That's the last jersey I've got.
You know, the other thing with KU fans is that you saw the number 11 jersey kind of proceed on, and it was almost like someone else needed to take it because, exactly like you said, you would see in the student section that the 11 jersey that people had bought was Jacques Vaughn just kind of continued to be there because nobody was getting rid of it, and they just had all those positive feelings towards Jacques Vaughn anyway.
All right. Well, this is the first time my draft board has not gone. You know, you've gone away from my draft board for the first time here, and the number 6 player on the board is still available on my board.
Okay.
So that makes it an easy pick. This, before Nick Collison, my first love was Rex Walters.
Oh, okay.
And love me some Rex Walters. Let me throw some numbers at you. You remember the 1993 NCAA tournament run for the Final Four? Maybe you don't.
Yes, I do. Yeah. Well, I'm your age, man.
For you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right. So he averaged that year in the tournament 21.2 points on 62.5% shooting on the way to the Final Four, which is just unreal. Against Cal and Jason Kidd, some guy you maybe heard of, Rex put up 24 points on 8 of 9 shooting and probably convinced a young little guard on Cal's team named Jared Haas to come to KU. I'm guessing he wanted to be like Rex. And in my head, I'm guessing that's the reason he ended up at KU. Rex is also the reason I had a bowl cut as a child. And and during that 93 tournament run, I remember this is probably a regrettable decision now that I think back on it, but I definitely shaved KU into the back of my head during that tournament run. Man, I loved me some Rex.
I feel like you're a counselor today, or you're a psychiatrist. I feel like you're
Yeah,
opening
right.
up to me with all these details about
these
KU.
confessions.
Yeah, it is kind of confession. It's like Confession Wednesday here.
I mean, it's Rex's fault that like I have a bunch of bad pictures from a kid because I rocked that terrible bowl cut. Jesse, let's be honest, did you have a bowl cut?
No bull cut for me. No, I wasn't cool enough. I
Yeah.
did just the old buzz cut. Basically the barber puts like the 2 setting on their thing and just goes swipe, swipe, swipe. So it was just ugly. But you're a kid, whatever.
Yeah, all the cool kids had the bowl cut.
Well,
so,
that's basically what I'm saying to you. All the
That's-
cool kids had the bull cut.
all the cool kids.
I did not have the bowl cut.
Everybody wanted to be like Rex.
I did have
So,
I did have pumps at one point. Did you have pumps?
of course. How could you not?
Okay, yeah, you had to pump up your shoe like in
Yeah.
library. The 3rd or 4th grade. You're the cool kid there.
Yeah, added like 2 to 3 inches on the vertical. Speaking of vertical, Rex could get up.
Well,
Rex had like a crazy high vertical. I think he was an over 40-inch guy on the vertical.
and again, just that lefty stroke with him, the 3-point stroke. Like you said, shooting the 63% is impressive. I'm sure if we calculate that out for effective field goal percentage, when he's shooting a bunch of threes, it would be off the charts good, which makes that even more valuable. Okay, well, I'm left with a little bit of a tough decision here.
Was that the next guy on your board?
Yes, it was the next guy on my board, actually.
Jock's understandable.
so
I mean, you made the wrong choice, but it's understandable.
We're going a little bit chalky here, so I'm feeling not as good about this one as the last one. You went way off the board last one, which is why I dominated you in the poll on KansasCity.com. I'm actually gonna continue to go with a position that I need because I've got the point guard, I've got the 2 post players, and I'm gonna take Jeff Boschee with my next pick. And again, he's. I don't think I need to say much about his shooting. I mean, he was basically hailed as the best shooter coming in in the Roy Williams era, and basically, followed through with it. And you want to talk about players that had haircuts that kind of passed on and that started to happen around the Kansas area. the shaved head of Jeff Boschee, I think, kind of became a fashion statement as well. But the 3-pointers he made, everybody knew he was going to shoot them. He still could get his feet set in an instant, square up to the basket, make those shots. And we know now how important 3-pointers are. We knew at the time how important they were, and Jeff Boschee provided that. He's going to provide that for my team as well.
All right, well that's a good pick. I'm tempted to go away from my board here, but Jeff Boschee was actually the next player on my board, so that's a good solid pick. I'm surprised you didn't throw out a stat from Jeff Boschee that I thought was just going to come for sure from Jesse, and that's the fact that he led the country in offensive rating as a senior. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Where are you going back for old school offensive rating?
KenPom's got the '02 season up, man.
Oh, okay. So
He's bringing it. He's bringing it back. He's going even further back. So I don't think he used to have those numbers for individual players in that season, but now he does. And Boschee had a 134 offensive rating that season.
Yeah, that's good.
Pretty good. I don't love talking up your team, but I'm just surprised you didn't bring it up.
Yeah, well,
it's like you don't know your personality.
Well, yeah, that's definitely.
I'm afraid you're not going to put them in the right situations.
I appreciate your concern about my team. You have to bring up offensive rating with usage percentage, and Boschee with a 14% usage percentage basically tells you that he basically only shot wide open 3-pointers when he was in there. So that plays into it as well. But yeah, he has 46% from 3-point range, 110 of 237. And then also a minuscule turnover rate, which helps out because, if you're going to be a catch and shoot guy, you might as well not turn it over when you do get the ball. So, again, a little bit of a one-trick pony, but man, that trick, as we've seen like with guys like Brandon Green, that trick was pretty impressive.
All right. Well, I'm going all over the place here. I'm trying to decide what to do. I'm going to go ahead and fill out my starting lineup. I probably got criticized for not filling it out early enough. Last time I'm sure you could criticize my drafting tactics because I just went wing, 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 wing.
You could do that, or the people could do that. I don't mean whatever.
I could do that. All right, I'm gonna go with Mark Randall.
Wow. Okay.
Arguably the best player on the 1991 runner-up to the Duke Blue Devils. He put up 16-11 on the heels in the Final Four to help him win that game. Then went with 18-10 in the title game. Shot 7-9 that night. Outplayed Christian Laettner. The 1991 team is the first team that I really remember watching as a kid. And my memory is Mark Randall is the best player on that team, and that Final Four run was pretty fun. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out my front court, and we're going to put up Mark Randall next to Mr. Drew Gooden.
That is a solid pick, and again, this is like you were saying, it kind of goes back. This is about the tips of our memory here, so that's good. That's a good kind of old school pick, even if you're going for the Roy Williams there. That's about as old school as you can get. I'm actually going to stick with my board here, and I'm going to go for talent, even if he has to come off the bench here, and I'm going to go with Scott Pollard. I think that, again, he was on a uber talented team and probably could have given more than he did, but the thing about it was he was a great rebounder, great role player on that team, and just kind of made up that starting five that ended up being, the 97 team that was so good and like you said, gave so many nightmares to people when the Arizona game happened. So I'm taking Scott Pollard. He was a first-round draft pick. He was known for his colorful personality, I guess you could say, and also the things that he did, the long hair, the fingernail polish, it kind of did shake up the KU fan base a little bit. I think it kind of loosened things up a little bit. Roy Williams didn't necessarily always have those sorts of players on his team. It might have opened the door for the guys like the Drew Goodens later on that showed a little bit of personality. But as far as talent goes and as far as peak goes, even though he might have shown the exact peak numbers that some of these other guys did, I think that's just because he was on a loaded roster. So I'm going to go ahead and take Scott Pollard and put him as the 5th selection on my team, the 10th selection overall.
All right, my next pick, I'm going to start strengthening my bench. Another guy that you're going to have to go way back, but Mr. Kevin Pritchard is my next pick. He averaged He played his last 2 years for Roy. As a junior, he went 14.5 and 4.4 assists, led the team in scoring as a senior, 14.5 and 5.1 assists, shot 42.6% from deep. He had a true shooting percentage going advanced stats on you, 64.2%. I think
Wow.
probably, a team that gets overlooked in the Roy era because of later success, but that team went 30-5, and he's the best player on that squad. Pritchard could play. Obviously, a huge member of the '88 championship squad. So I'm going to go Kevin Pritchard. Pretty darn good bench guy.
Not bad, not bad. And again, you're kind of going old school on me, so that's good. I applaud going so old school when it is at the very beginning of your memory.
I do what I can. I don't remember too much Kevin Pritchard just because of the fact, like I said, the 1991 team's my first real memories, and he played the year before, obviously. But I will say I have watched the 1988 Final Four on many times, so I've seen plenty of Kevin Pritchard in those games.
Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fill out. We talked about filling out the lineups and completing those. I do need. You were talking about wings, and that's something that I didn't do very well the last time, and obviously probably need to do a better job this time. I'm gonna actually go with. I'm actually go with 2003 Keith Langford here in this spot, and he can complete my spot. And again, since you've gone ahead and given me some advanced stats, I can advanced stat give you some knowledge here, drop some knowledge on Keith Langford. A 114 offensive rating, now possession percentage of a usage rate of 21%. So he wasn't the focal point of that offense, but again, the focal point of that offense was who you would expect. It would be Nick Collison. Why would you not give Nick Collison and then also Kirk Heinrich a lot? But a very key member of that team, kind of the third piece of that, and then the guy that made 58% of his twos, which is really good for a guy who's a slasher, and the first of 2 years where you always will wonder what would happen if Keith Langford did not foul out of KU's final game, the Syracuse game. So, but a great player, great slasher, fan favorite, and Keith Langford, he's on my roster.
All right, so man, this is tough. I think I need another big man, and I'm gonna add to my interior depth, and I'm gonna go with the Big O,
Big O!
Greg Ostertag, baby. 10.3 points per game, 8.8 rebounds, 2.8 blocks. Now those might not sound like great stats, but he did it in only 21.1 minutes per game as a senior. I mean those if you run those to 40 minutes per 40 minutes, those are some pretty impressive numbers. Swatted everything that came into his area. Sorry, excuse me. Now, last time you took all the rim protectors, I got absolutely the best rim protector of the Roy era. So the Big O coming in, giving me a little D.
The Big O giving you a little D. Okay. Yeah, he wasn't named the Big O for his offense, that's for sure. But I just remember, man, what a monster of a human, 7'2". I remember walking by him once, and
Yeah.
that is, you never thought you would see a human that tall. And when you're, back in whatever grade it is, that's a pretty towering figure. Okay, well, I'm actually going to, I'm going to solidify my wing position here, and I think I will take easily the next best wing on there. I'm going to take Kenny Gregory, and a guy that, I think unfortunately for Kenny, and we had him on the podcast here a couple weeks ago, and he was very gracious with his time and very honest about his time with Kansas, but I think that sometimes we get so colored by what somebody doesn't do that we forget about what they can do. And so with some of his jump shooting problems and all the hype that he came in with the McDonald's All-American game, and how much people expected of him, people might kind of consider what he didn't do rather than what he did. And he was a very productive player for KU in most of his seasons, a leading scorer in the 2000 season. And part of this also might just be that his teams didn't have the most success of some of the Kansas teams when it came to the NCAA tournament. So I think a very solid player. here. Again, even go the next season with Drew Gooden, he averaged 15.6 points per game. He made 60% of his twos in that year. Again, not the greatest jump shooter. Had the long release. Struggled with the 2-pointers, but man, could the guy fly in transition. He could score there. A good defender, and a lot of different things that he could do for you. I think at this point in the draft, with my 7th pick, I think that's a pretty solid pickup, especially when you consider all the skill set that he did have. And I still believe he's either first or second in the NBA Combine rankings ever when it came to vertical jumps. So he was a guy that was athletic. I mean, there was no question about that part of Kenny Gregory's game.
All right, Jesse, I'm going to take a better version of Kenny Gregory.
Oh,
Not Kenny Gregory, nice guy. Thanks for coming on the podcast. But better version of him would be Milt Newton.
Wow. Okay.
Going way, 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 way back on you. 17.7 points per game as a senior, shot 45.5% from deep. Very key member of the 88.
Man, a better version. I'm just still shocked. Those are fighting words there.
He's a better version of Kenny Gregory. Great athlete, but could actually shoot.
Not 46-inch vertical great athlete.
He was a pretty darn good athlete. And also, Milt Newton is a favorite of mine because of again, the 88 championship team. And one of my favorite stories I ever heard, KU stories I've ever heard, and I'll tell it to you now. It was told to me by Mr. Brett McMurphy, who I believe is writing for ESPN these days. And I'll go ahead and tell you that story. In the days leading up to the title game, Larry Brown told his boys that they could not run with the Sooners. You remember that? You probably don't remember that OU team, but you've heard about them.
Yes.
Those guys could run like crazy. They wanted to play fast. So Brown was telling his guys they needed to slow the game down. Have you heard this story before, Jesse?
Nope. Keep going.
All right. He was telling them they needed to slow them down, make them play KU style. And as the Jayhawks were huddled together in the tunnel before they took the court, Newton's told his teammates, F that.
Okay.
Obviously, he put a few more letters on that F.
Yeah.
Let's run with these guys. And it was 50-50 at halftime, and what I think is one of the most entertaining halves of basketball ever, especially at the Final Four. And then at halftime, Brown told his guys, okay, you prove you can run with them. Now we play our game. And the second half score was 33-29, one of the biggest upsets ever. So pretty awesome story, I think. And Milt Newton really turned into, was really the guy that next year on that team. A team that wasn't eligible for the postseason, but that might have done a little damage if they were able to get there.
And you've left me now with the final pick of the scholarship players in this draft. It's coming down to two guys here.
I would be between probably four guys.
Probably four guys?
Yeah.
Well, let me look at my roster here, and let's have that make my decision. I've got Vaughn, point guard, Boshi as the 2 guard, Langford as the 3 guard, and then Collison and LaFrenz as my bigs. I've got Gregory as a wing as a backup, and then I've also got Pollard as a big man. So I probably could use another guard, would probably be the best thing, or do I want to just go best player available with that? I'm actually going to go with best player available. I'm going to lock up the post again with you, and I'm going to take 2003 before his arm injury, Wayne Simien. And again, looking at his stats, you can imagine that
pretty good.
Even in limited time, these were basically similar to what he showed later when he was an All-American. I'm looking at 129 offensive rating and 23% usage percentage for that team before he got injured. And then you add in the 14% offensive rebounding percentage, 21% defensive rebounding percentage. I mean, those are all elite, top-of-the-line numbers, even if they only came in limited time. So, again, if we're talking about this player at his best, I'm going to go Wayne Simien at his best, even if it was only for a short length of time. And he was trending that season to have a season that was going to be pretty amazing. And now KU made their Final Four run and made it all the way to the championship game without him that year. But it does make you wonder, what if Wayne Simeon was not hurt that season, didn't get his hand caught up in the net and grab his shoulder, what might have been with his season in the 2002-2003 year.
Might have been Jesse. He gave his right arm for that man.
He gave his right arm for that man is correct. One of the one of the most famous quotes in Kansas history. That's basically the only way you can say it. That summed up accurately, I think, the anger, frustration of so many Kansans is that while they maybe hadn't given their right arm for Roy Williams, they had given their loyalty, devotion, and support to him for so long, and he decided to leave for North Carolina. Again, hindsight being 2020, seemed to work out for everybody involved, and it seemed to be the right move for him to go there and win his couple national titles. But at the time, I just remember that was my freshman year of college, just how much of an emotional thing that was for everybody involved.
And glass half full, looking at the Simeon injury, it gave us the chance to experience the gravy train. So, I enjoyed the gravy train experience. I'm sure you did, right? And I mean,
the thing about the gravy train experience is that what's amazing is if a couple more shots go in for Kansas, he's probably the most valuable player. Yep. Most outstanding player of them. And, that doesn't get you an automatic trip to the rafters at Kansas, but it comes pretty close. So we very easily could be talking about a reality where Jeff Graves has his rafter up there, has his jersey up in the rafters, next to the Simeons, LaFrenzes, and all those.
Oh man, love me some. And I don't know if that team would. Obviously, Simeon was a superior player, and it would have been nice to have him, but Gravy Train really just fit in nicely next to Nick Collison because Collison was such a good scorer, and I don't know, that team just kind of blended right at the right time with the Gravy Train there. And no, not saying you want to take away a talent like Wayne Simeon, but I think it came together all right for those guys.
We've talked about being better fits, and I don't necessarily dispute that. We talk about Landon Lucas being a better fit with that roster than maybe a guy than other people out there, just because he kind of blended into that role. And look at these numbers across the board. Graves gave basically the same rebounding production that Wayne Simeon did. Didn't need to take as many shots, so it kind of allowed Nick Collison, Kirk Heinrich to take on that scoring load, while also having a better block percentage and
his interior D better,
and creating more steals. So there is something to be said for that. Now, on the opposite side, Jeff Graves was very turnover prone. Wayne Simeon was not. So I mean, you're weighing a lot of different factors here when you look at that. But would you say that KU was better without Wayne Simeon in there? I mean, I think that probably is a stretch to me. But is there a way that lineup produced very well on its own with when Jeff Graves came in and played his own role? I think you can definitely say that.
Yeah. Now I think you have to put a note in here that Wayne Simeon only gets to play until about the 4-minute mark of the first half, and then you pretty much have to take him out.
That's why he's a bench player for me. That's the eighth man. There you go. I can play him for his limited minutes, and then he can get his hand caught up in the net, and then we can sub him right out. We got Pollard to put in there.
All right, so we are to the walk-ons portion. With some of these guys available, I almost wish we could go 10 deep on these rosters. I think if we would have done this again, we should have gone a little deeper just because there's so many fun players left in both eras that I would have loved to have still been able to take. But
it's true. It's also a little bit tougher to gauge teams on a poll when you have a lot more names too. So I think this kind of limits it at least.
It does.
So that
it does.
Makes it a little bit more manageable.
And you can only really play like 8 guys.
Exactly.
That's what my rotation would be when I'm coaching my squad. So, all right. So we're to the walk-ons portion, correct?
Yes.
All right, we can talk about the snubs right after this. Let's go ahead and get to the walk-ons. I'm going to start out with Brett Ballard, a guy who got some run on that 0-2 team that made a Final Four. Pretty impressive. Gives you a little shooting if at the end of games. After my team has mopped up on yours, Ballard's going to come in and rain a couple threes. And also a good leader, gives a little coaching. He is the Wake Forest assistant now. I think, good presence on the bench. Brett Ballard gives my squad.
I really haven't criticized any of your picks so far too much. I mean, I haven't had too much of a problem with any of them, but you completely botched.
I hope you don't take.
You
take what I think you're going to take.
You completely botched. There was a slam dunk, no doubt, 100% pick with the
I
first
took the best
pick.
player. I didn't take
No,
I didn't take my
no,
heart.
no, no, no. You did not take the best walk on. You absolutely botched that pick, and people are going to pick my team if for no other reason
Oh
that
no!
I
I know
took
what you're gonna do. I know what you're
T.J.
gonna do.
Watley with my first walk
Ah
on
no!
pick.
That was gonna be my last pick.
No, come on. You knew he
I
wasn't
should
going
have
to
gone
last
with
with
him
that.
first.
Oh,
The
that is.
stash is
Oh my
legendary.
gosh. I mean, I have nothing else to say to you. That is you. You were doing okay in this draft, and you just lost it with a walk-on pick
I
because
thought I'd take
somehow,
the best player and then take the
somehow,
sentimental at the
the
end.
best pick doesn't matter with the walk-on. You somehow did not take T.J. Watley and the stash to put on your bench. One of the most famous walk-ons of all time.
I love the stash.
Oh, I feel so much better. I was kind of worried about losing to you in this draft. I am not worried at
Now
all
you're good.
anymore.
Got T.J. Watley.
I am 100% confident I win this.
Man, we should look up where the hell T.J. Watley is now, and we should have him on the podcast.
Oh man,
We should have T.J. Watley on the podcast.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up here now. Now
Yes.
we have to go investigate this.
Yeah. Let's get that. Let's make that happen, Jesse. We need to track him down. All right.
Okay.
We'll start tracking him down because we got to track T.J. Watley down. He's got to have some stories. I wonder if he's still got the stash. You know, he's still got the stash. Like, there's no doubt.
The stash was him, so I don't know how you could get rid of that.
All right, yeah, you got me there. I was hoping. I thought you maybe go with somebody else. All right, I'm between two guys here for my last walk-on spot. Since like I said, my team's going to clean up in about the first 37 minutes of the game. I'm going to want some fun guys at the end. I'm going to go ahead and get Chris Zerbe because that guy was a scoring machine when he came off the bench. So him and Ballard buddies. Both played at Hutch, I believe, together. That would have been a fun team to watch. So Chris Zerbe is my final selection. Could get buckets.
Yeah, well, it's weird. I've actually got some choices here to make with my final walk-on selection.
Yeah.
Do I want to go like coaching? Like, do I want to match up with you on the Brett Ballard, like the intelligence coaching sort of thing, or do I want to take the guy that, again, this was not in the Roy Williams era, but later was called the greatest walk-on of all time.
True.
So yeah, I'll take Christian Moody. I'm gonna throw him on there again.
Who were your other guys you were thinking? Curious.
Well, CB McGrath was on the list.
Was he a walk-on? I think he got a scholarship.
No, CB McGrath.
Yeah, I'm calling up CB.
Okay, hold on. We're calling timeout on the podcast. We're going to look this up on Google, and in 1 second we will come back from our chat. Go. Initially a walk-on, McGrath earned a scholarship prior to the start of his freshman season at Kansas. Okay, you're more right than me, but still not completely right. Okay, so CB McGrath, I guess I couldn't have picked him anywhere. How about a little Terry Nooner?
Terry Nooner was my next guy on the board. That was if I couldn't get Ballard, I was going to go Noonball because I needed a 3-point shooter as one of my walk-ons.
Noonball was a good nickname too, and then also little Todd Kappelman could have gone in there too.
Todd Kappelman, he could have, although Zerbe, far superior player, could get buckets.
Yeah, well, okay. All right, so who were the snubs? Who did we leave off of the original roster that you think maybe merited some consideration?
Yeah, there were quite a few guys I had ranked above, basically all your bench. Steve Woodbury, for sure.
I had him on the list, yep.
Steve Woodbury, that's my best available that did not go. Right below Steve Woodbury, downtown Terry Brown.
Okay, yep.
Led the 91 team in scoring. Could stroke it like no other.
I had him down.
I am shocked Adonis Jordan did not go.
Yeah, I
think that looking back, I would have been fine taking Adonis Jordan instead of Pritchard. I think they're both pretty close. I think Pritchard was a little bit better player, but
let me ask you this question: was Woodbury or Adonis Jordan higher on your list?
I had Woodbury just slightly ahead of Adonis, but they're like in a tier that's pretty much the same.
And almost, to be honest with you, that almost kind of hurt me because it was hard for me to decide between.
I loved
two.
Adonis too. Yeah.
I know it was hard for me to decide between those two, so it was almost if you're picking those guys, it's almost hard to very different careers. Obviously Adonis came in when it was a little bit more down, and Woodbury was the sixth man for a while, and then kind of stepped up into his own his final season. So it was tough for me to distinguish between those two. But both very good players, and again, kind of at the beginning of the era when we were
And
able to follow.
quick Adonis note for you. Um, I was, in researching this, I had to look up his Blue Chips appearance,
Oh
which was,
yeah,
Blue Chips, a cinematic masterpiece. Rex was also in that movie. So I stumbled upon it on YouTube, and it was Adonis who posted it.
nice.
He posted his part, and he has his own YouTube channel actually. And so that you got to go watch. I'll tweet out the link later after we put up the pod. But his kit, it's basically he has a camera and he's filming his own television of
That's what
his
you.
part
It's
of
what
the
you got to
movie.
do.
Yeah, and his kid is in the background the whole time yelling, "Daddy, that's you!"
Awesome.
It's pretty legendary. Blue Chips, one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Probably not the greatest movie, but in my heart, it is.
I just remember I wanted to go see it so bad because Rex and Adonis were in it, and so my mom, it was either PG-13 or R at the time, so my mom had to go with me, and
Nice.
I mean, within the first like 5 minutes, she was mortified. I mean, because it's f
Nick
bomb this,
Nolte's like
f
drops
bomb
and
that.
f
I mean,
bombs. Yeah.
it was to the point where I think she almost marched me out and finally just decided that this was how the movie was going to be, and I wanted to go see it so bad. But yeah, that I just remember that my mom next to me in the movie theater because I wanted to go see it, and her just being mortified at the language in the very first beginning of the movie.
Can you name the movie star on my squad that actually did make it in this draft?
The movie star on your squad?
Yep.
Oh, Milt?
Nope.
No, I can't.
The Big O was in Eddie, man.
Oh, jeez. Okay. We're not counting that.
Yeah, the Big O. He was on the Knicks
Do you,
in
do
Eddie.
you, do you consider Shaq as having an acting career?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then, yeah, okay, then we're in different places when it comes to that. Any other
All right.
snubs? Any other snubs that you saw?
Yeah, Aaron Miles once again. Aaron Miles not making it on here. That's easily him and Adonis Jordan. Maybe a coin flip. You could have gone with either one of those guys. His first 2 years at KU, he was pretty darn good. Obviously a little better in the Self era, but still pretty good in the Roy era. And then Jared House as well. This was one thing that surprised me in researching this. Looking back, I did not realize that Jared Hass's first year at KU, he led the team in scoring.
I looked at the same thing. Yes,
That's
led
a
KU
team
in
that
scoring.
included Rafe, Ostertag, and Jock. That's pretty nuts.
The other thing about Jared, I think that again, so much gets colored by the end of the season. But gosh, just the wrist injury he had, and the disappointment and the bad shooting that he had, very very late in his career. It's almost like that colors your vision of what the player was. Because again, I was shocked to see that he had led KU in scoring too. It's something you don't remember from earlier time because you remember so much about his later time, and then also the very famous book, Floor Burns.
Oh man,
How many copies do you have, CJ?
I got one.
Okay,
I got one. Yeah, you got one, right?
I knew it. I'm sure there's one somewhere in this house. I couldn't tell you where it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure where mine is, but I bet it's around here somewhere. I live in my childhood home, so it's probably in the basement somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and I think if nothing else, that he was definitely known for that. The floor burns. Any other players that were left off the list?
Yeah, I got I'd say even five more that I think were right there in that bottom tier that probably should have been in consideration. Billy Thomas.
Yeah, that was who I was considering with my last pick with Simeon. That was the other one I was thinking about.
Billy Thomas and downtown Terry Brown would have been good on either one of these rosters just to come in and fill it up off the bench. Richard Scott.
Yep, had him.
Nobody had a backside like Richard. If he sealed you, it was over. So enjoyed me some Richard Scott. Also one of my favorite players in that early era of my life. And then my mom's favorite Jayhawk of all time, Ryan Robertson. She would be sad that I didn't take Ryan.
Yeah, I had him on the list too.
Scored 31 in his final game as a Jayhawk, nearly upsetting Kentucky. I remember that he was awesome that game. Probably the best game of his career.
Yeah, I think you had basically everybody I had. The only other two.
I got two more. Let's hear who you. Actually, I got three more on the list.
You got three more. Well, and this would not be a fan favorite, but just based on production, I had Eric Chenoweth. Again, if we were going to match 7-footers,
Sophomore year, Eric Chenoweth.
sophomore year Eric Chenoweth was
Yep,
pretty darn
yep.
good. And again, I know a lot of fans.
I feel like they'd vote us down.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you get a downvote for that, but I mean, the guy was productive, and there
He
are
was.
some things when you're a 7-footer that you can do that other people can't. And he was rebounder, block shot, and could score. And then I did have Jeff Graves down, just kind of as a pick because, again, I mean, an eyelash away from being the most outstanding player of the Final Four during the Roy Williams era. I guess at least for me gets mentioned on this list.
Yeah, Chenoweth too. If you've ever met him, he's a really nice dude too. You feel bad what happened that people jumped on him so much.
Yeah,
So,
and I know
he was still a decent player late in his career. He just wasn't what he was as a sophomore.
I know Lawrence Journal World beat writer Gary Bedore feels bad too because he was just doing an off-season feature one of those years and talked to Eric about him following Dave Matthews Band around. And no, but seriously, I mean, it was one of those stories that took off and became on everybody's talking point. And Eric, from that point on, when he didn't play well, everybody kind of made the Dave Matthews Band jokes. So I know it's amazing what you remember and what you don't remember, but I think that Eric did take a lot of grief for that. Maybe, sometimes players play well and then they don't play well, and so I don't think Dave Matthews Band had nearly as much to do with it as many fans thought.
I almost felt like Pageant had like the Eric Chenoweth treatment from KU fans.
Yeah, and he had one of the biggest shots that KU fans will remember, shutting down the Hearn Center. So,
three more for you: Alonzo Jameson.
Yep, okay.
Eric Polly graduated with Rex and Adonis. Those three were nice senior class, and then Darren Hancock.
Oh,
another kind of Kenny Gregory type that could just fly, and the alley oops to Darren Hancock are some of the probably best alley oops in KU history.
Yeah, that guy could absolutely fly. Well, you feel good about your roster, CJ?
Oh yeah, I do. Obviously, I think you've got this. This is interesting. This is going to be an interesting vote because you've got the better front court. I'll be real. You've got the better. Got the Iowa boys up there.
God, I would hope so. Yeah.
I have by far the best wing.
You always get the best wing. You are just that's your bias.
I don't know what it is about. When I looked at the Roy era, it was just clear that you had to take Pierce because there wasn't anybody that was really close to him as a wing. So unless you were going to go small ball, real small ball, and not have a true wing, you had to take Pierce. And then being able to start Heinrich and Rex Walters in the backcourt, I think those are probably the best two guards of the Roy era. So really I feel like I beat you at the 1, I beat you at the 2, I beat you at the 3, I beat you at the 4. And then I got the Big O coming off the bench swatting everything you bring in the paint. So I'm liking my squad, Jesse.
You were going to name your daughter Collison, and you just said you were going to beat me at the 4.
I mean, he was the third pick. I mean, that's a coin flip. But clearly the 1, 2, 3, I got you.
We will let the fans decide. I think it's going to be closer than you think. I think that the Rafe LaFrentz, Nick Collison, Jacques Vaughn, you know what I kind of did a little bit? I think I've got a little bit of sentimental value on my team here. I think people are going to look back and they're going to find
with the sentimental value.
They're going to
pick with your head.
Are they going to do that or not? I don't know. I think they're going to come back and they're going to find in their heart what they remember about Rafe LaFrentz, Nick Collison, and Jacques Vaughn, my first 3 picks, and that might just lead me to victory.
Those were some all-time love Jayhawks, but hopefully some older folk votes because they can appreciate Pritchard, Newton, and Mark Randall. Mark Randall was really he was a first round pick, I believe, as well. And I think, let's see, I might have all first round picks on my team. Not trying to go that route, but I think I might. I'm pretty sure Pritchard and Newton were both first round picks. Newton's the one I'm not sure about.
Well, that's pretty solid. If you look down my roster, some first round picks as well. The Pollards, the LaFrentzes of the world, and I look forward to our wing matchup for sure, which is going to be Paul Pierce, one of the greatest NBA guys of all time, against Keith Langford, who is one of the best overseas players of all time. So, and Keith often has something to prove. I actually like my chances of Keith rising to the challenge against Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce is good, but I like Keith's competitiveness and going against that sort of player.
Oh man, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. I love me some Keith Langford, but do you really feel like he's in the same category?
No, but
Paul Pierce. I think you're just trying to talk yourself into something right here.
We're gonna let the fans decide. We're gonna let them.
I'm looking it up. I don't know that Newton was a draft pick. I could have been wrong. Yeah.
Well, you've been wrong before, so that's not a big deal.
I've been wrong before. But was a pretty darn good player.
All right, well, we're going to let the fans decide. Be sure to check out kansascity.com. We'll have a blog post up here this week talking about the teams and listing the teams, and then you can vote at the poll in the bottom. Like I said last week, or 2 weeks ago, in a landslide victory, I defeated CJ in the Bill Self-era draft 51% to 49%. So a landslide victory. Be sure to, if you are smart and you understand basketball and you want to vote for my team, you can go on kansascity.com and be sure to vote for Team Newell and make sure CJ knows that he once again screwed up the draft, especially when it came to the walk-ons. But again, check out CJ's work, CJ Moore BR on Twitter. I'm at Jesse Newell on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. Just type in the little Google search bar, Jesse Newell Sports Reporter. It's where I put...
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's where I put all my sports stories if you want to get it on Facebook. I know a lot of people read stories on Facebook. Go ahead, CJ. What's up?
TJ Watley, if you're out there, give us a call. We want to talk to you.
We are going to be in our sleuth mode the next week to try to find where TJ Watley is and get him on the podcast. But
if you know TJ, let us know. Hook us up. We got to get that interview.
Yeah, that is something that needs to happen. Well, again, we're going to wrap things up here on the Sports Beat KC podcast. For CJ Moore, this is Jesse Newell. Thanks for checking us out, and be sure to check us out again next week.